Hello, friends. I promised someone to show a demonstration of me doing or going through my supplements. That discovery on an empty stomach, which I posted online in 2022, and basically it was a revolution uh, uh, in my health, revolutionary in my health. Basically, I lost all symptoms of early Parkinson, of totally gone diabetes, which were showing up not like severe, but I began to feel diabetic, and that's gone, and a few other things as well. Memory improvement, and right, and my energy increased by far, and so on and so on. I can tell you, and I had confirmation about. This particular method curing a number of degenerative diseases and so on. It may sound big, right? But it is a very simple discovery. And like I said before in my videos, Mr. Arab, told me what to do in about November, probably 2022, and they're still on my YouTube channel. And then I began to see the result later. Within 3 months' time, I was able to realize full recovery from from any symptom that showed up, including some, other things as well. So I promised. Like I said, you may think this is very simple, but oh, you will believe. Others did actually, and they realized what's going on. Number one, I am not telling you what to do. This is what I did, this is what I've done, and I published it, and others used the same method, and they realized the miraculous results, right? Two, this is a medical literature, right? Although it's a supplements, however, the method is a little bit radical, right? The discovery is malabsorption. So see your doctor. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I've done, and then I'm telling you that others who followed the same method, practiced the same method, saw a lot of improvement, right? So see your doctor, like they said. So now the idea is very simple. We need certain compounds, it's just like a car engine. So if your car engine doesn't have gas, it will not run. If your car engine doesn't have transmission fluid, it'll break down. If your car engine or if your car is missing wires, it will not run, right? So it's an integral process, right? It's a symbiotic dependent relationship between all the compounds and the trace minerals and the vitamins and so on. So you'd hear some people advocating B12, you'd hear some people advocating D3 and magnesium and so on and so forth. True, but that's partially true. There's interdependencies. There is a symbiotic relationship between each two compounds or three compounds. To the degree that it turns out that, and as I explained in those videos in 2022, that when you take your supplement, you're really just throwing the pills or powder or drops in just the toilet bowl. Why? Because and that's the heart of the discovery. This is not discovering compounds or minerals or the theory or the facts that your body needs those to build immune system, to build cells, red blood cells, or to build bones, and so on and so forth, right? This is not that at all. This is a very simple discovery, and that is to how to bypass the malabsorption, right? Number one, take care to buy quality products, and there are different types of certain compound or certain vitamin or trace minerals and so on, so they're different, right? I'm gonna point those out as we go along, and I do have a sheet. I typed up the instructions and the compounds and so on. And if you care to have that sheet, put something in the comment, and we'll see how I can give you that sheet. I will certainly not email. I will not use electronic form to give you or send you that sheet. It'll have to be done somehow, right? Why? Because on the way it could be distorted. You know, a new fact sheet or method sheet or practice sheet could be replaced by something else, and that could be harmful. Okay, so there are a number of compounds I take. Now, I buy a lot of compounds here, and sometimes they do expire, right? They do expire. So what you could do is buy, you know, share with the number of people, share the amount of pills and supplements that you buy, and split it. This way, they won't expire on you, and then you will buy newer ones every 3 months and so on. So, for example, this here has 250 tablets, right? This particular supplement. And I just don't see that I'm gonna get to the point where I'm gonna finish all those. So I'm gonna throw out some, right? But not now. I mean, just before expiration. So for example, if I shared between me and somebody else, that would divide the number of pills by 3 or 4, right? And then they will be consumed in about 3 months time or 6 months time, right? And then that gives me the opportunity to buy a newer, a fresh supplement, if you will, and again, right? So I do actually overdose a little bit. So be careful of the dose. The dose is very important, especially if you want to give it to, I mean, I am 50 and above, right? And 50 and above. So if anyone who's below 50 years of age, the dosage changes. So what I'm showing you today is the dosage for 50 and above, right? 50 years and above. So I'm considered senior, right? So here we go. The first compound I used to take B12 on its own, right? And a pill. I use a pill. And eventually I come to discover through research on the internet, through reading and so on, that the type of B12 that is really effective and has high absorption is really B12 methylcobalamin, and it has certain concentration, right? So the one I started with was 500, then 1,000. Then eventually I resorted to the 5,000 methylcobalamin 5,000 B12, right? And that's in drops. And then read the usage instruction on every pill, right? Now that's the difference here. For example, the discovery, when you read the instructions on the bottle, or you would see that it says take it with a meal, and that's the discovery here, is that when you take it with a meal, and the trace minerals are so minute and so microscopic that they are going just straight through your digestive system or intestinal tract all the way to the restroom, right? And that's the discovery, is that here is the core point, and that is the discovery. On an empty stomach, take all these compounds, change them into powdery substance. So if they're caplets, and take out the caplets, right? Empty the caplets, and if they're liquid, take the liquid, or if they are tablets, then grind the tablets, right? And then take them on an empty stomach, and then drink a lot of water with them. So now empty stomach is not enough. Intestinal tract has to be empty as well. So because if the intestinal tract, after 2 hours of eating, right, the intestinal tract is still full. Again, when you take these supplements, they're going to be blocked by the food that has been digested, and now it's in the intestinal tract, right? So best practice is at least 8 hours on empty stomach and empty intestines, right? Small intestines, and it's best taken after you wake up in the morning, and that's the best practice, right? Now, when you do that, you change it into a powdery substance, or if it's a liquid, you take it as a liquid. That's when all the minerals or the vitamins are exposed and they are touching the intestinal lining, right? And that's when the absorption happens because if they're mixed with food, guess what? They are so small in volume and microscopic in presence in the food or whatever it is. You're not getting anything. Some of it actually, as I read and as I researched, is in fact genetic. You know that the absorption of certain elements such as D3 and so on is no longer absorbed due to genetic evolution or genetic defects or something of the sort. But this here basically bypasses all that, right? I have seen an example where some people in deep Parkinson, advanced stages of Parkinson recover, not fully, but way far better than they were before. It seems to be that those with very advanced stages of Parkinson, they will not recover fully. Why? Because in the core of the nervous system, the damage building that very core of the nervous system, it takes a lot of time. You know, like this is like the mechanic shop is destroyed by storm, right? And then the mechanic gets injured, right? Now you can come and build the mechanical shop, but the mechanic himself has to recover and come to the mechanical shop in order for him to do the work, right? He may come, you know, on crutches but you see what I'm saying. The point here is very clear. If you're in advanced stages of Parkinson, you will actually advance a lot, but not 100%. It takes, as the curve goes like this, right? It goes very high and rapidly upward at the start, but then eventually it levels off and then improvement slows down, right? It depends on your age. If you're in advanced ages as well, like a senior over 60 and then have such an advanced stages of, say, certain degenerative diseases, you may not recover fully, right? But where you were and where you will become is definitely noticeable. I have heard reports, some confirmed, some unconfirmed, that this method, replenishing those very small compounds which are important to the making of enzymes and so on and so forth, right? Cells and DNA and nervous system, myelin, and that some even cancers are being cured by this method. I mean, it sounds ridiculously simple, but guess what? Somebody, and that's yours truly here, discovered punctured a hole to a big reservoir of water, and we're all thirsty, right? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and say, okay, so the first thing I do is I read instructions on this, right? I'm not going to show you labels. This is not commercial for labels, right? And then this goes like this, right? It goes, you know, it says 1 drop and it's 5,000, right? 5,000, let's see, 5,000 mcg, microgram, right? mcg, right? So I do actually, you have to take 1 drop. Somebody can help you, and it says put it under the tongue for 30 seconds, and then swallow. I usually do it myself, so I get like 2 drops or 3 drops, and I'm doing all right, right? So now there is a malabsorption in the malabsorption sometimes, and then see your doctor again. That may or may not be enough actually. So you may have to do more than usual in B12, and again that's methylcobalamin, and it's 5,000. So that's the first thing I do. Give me a second. So I just actually got 2 drops, so that's 10,000. Go figure, right? All right. So it'll be there under the tank for 30 seconds. I don't know, but I felt much better, in fact, after transitioning to this particular B12. I could see the difference actually. Now the next thing I would take is a pill of zinc, right? I'm not going to show you the zinc. And the zinc is 50 milligram, right? And then there is the K2 and D3. K2 and D3, again, I'm not a doctor, right? So, but I have watched videos and did some research and so on that says, you have to take K2 and D3 together. Why? Because they somehow influence each other. And I also heard and viewed some scientific videos and so on and research on the internet that magnesium also, there's interdependencies and link between K2, D3, and magnesium, right? I will come to the magnesium in a little bit. But at least those three, but then you need the other minerals as well. So here comes. This one here is K2 and D3. The K2 apparently is helps the calcium, clears the arteries from calcium and helps D3 work or something of the sort. Again, I'm not a doctor. If you want to know about that, you can research it on the internet or ask your doctor. And there is a 125 mcg or 5000 IU of D3, right? In this bottle, I'm not going to show you the brand again. And here I take one, right? And this here is a caplet, right? So the caplets, I will show you what I do with the caplets, right? And then we got the zinc here, right? And then there is the B complex. Now the B complex, they're different as well. So the the B12, here I have this called bioactive B complex, B dash complex, right? So you have to look at the contents. Some bottles that I bought has what's called cyanocobalamin, which is cyanide, really, right? Or you can have, excuse me for a second, or you can have the item to be methylcobalamin. So here I just took the B12, but then I also take it along with the B complex, right? The B complex, and that's bioactive, complete B vitamins plus active coenzymes, right? Now, here, there are different types of bees, and the bees are extremely crucial and important for your nervous system to operate and build itself, like myelin and so on, right? Now, what I'm saying here is not exactly everything that you need to do. You have to have the food, the food that does not replace the food, right? Or the type of food you eat and so on. So you really need real meat, right? And fat and vegetables and grains and whatnot. Here, this method avoids all that. Basically, when you take it on an empty stomach in the morning and empty intestines, right? Excuse me. Right? So now I'm gonna wash down the B12 drops, right? So the B, you still need your nutritional food. And when you have improved a lot, right, especially the brains, you will realize that your brain has improved a lot, right, on memory and so on and so forth. You will realize that your brain has changed from a meowing cat into a growling lion. It needs a lot, like heavy duty food, like fatty meat and so on. And, then it requires more like, you put certain amount of gas in your car, right? But the big truck needs a lot of diesel, right? So it grows, right? And then expands and then revives itself and so on. So you need to supply it with fuel, and you can research that. Like there are ATP, and there are and other foods that the brain uses and so on, right? So I take that, right? And this is okay. There are two different specialty shops, right, in the Chicagoland area, right? And you have to be careful. You have to ask them. And this here is the pill, which contains also some B12. How much B12 does it have? Let me see. So the B12 here is 500 mcg, right? 500 mcg. So that's substantial as well. So I just took like 2 drops, which is 10,000, right? Which is 10,000, and then 500 again. Like who's counting? If these were dollars, like will be $10,500. I'll go have some fun with that, right? And then there is the potassium. Potassium, I take the citrate. Again, check the brands, online and so on with your doctor. They will tell you which one is better. Apparently, citrate is very good. So this particular bottle is 99 mg milligram, right? Uh, Potassium is very important, and again, you have it in the bananas, and you have it in other fruits and vegetables, as well as the meat and liver and so on and so forth. But this method, again, makes available those compounds and trace minerals and vitamins to the lining of the intestinal tract. I'm not telling you this because that's what I think it is my practice. And when I did actually make this discovery, I realized myself, something just like got me up and healed me, right? And that's that pill, right? And again, I'll show you in a little bit what I do with the pill, right? Now, and then I do take the 50 plus, right? So the 50 plus, there are different types, 4 types, right? Or more. Again, buy the quality products, right? There's one that's the most important one. So I do buy 3 of them or 4 of them, right? There's one and there's 2, right? And there is 3, right? Now, why do I buy 3 of them? And every time I take it, I change. Like, for example, today I'm gonna take this particular one, right? And say now I used to take it every day for the first year, or at least 3 months, right? I do my practice for daily basis because I realized that I was basically rescued from like total collapse at age of 62, right? Uh, that was in 22, right? But then eventually I slowed down. I started taking it every few days, right? Like every 3 days, and then eventually every 1 week. Sometimes I go 2 weeks without supplements because my body and my brain stored all that in the reservoirs, right? And I have a strong body, so see your doctor about that, right? So this one here, this one particular here, has, for example, it's similar to this, right? But this one here has a compound called boron, right? And boron, from what I viewed online and certain doctors were talking about it, is that whatever was proven by it was in the last century, 1900 plus. I do not recall when. One doctor testified that those who took boron supplements had solid bones. Their bones were harder to cut, right? So anything else? I didn't hear anything else. But this compound, apparently, it was put there after research by the company that makes the supplement, right? So I take that one day, right? And then next day I take that, right? Now this one here is very well known, right? A popular. However, I noticed between it and these two, right? The amount of copper is different. These two have like zero 0.2. Let me tell you how much they have, right? So copper here has 2 mg or 2 milligrams, right? While this one here, right, the copper has okay, 0.5, right? 0.5. So 0.5, and this one here has copper is 2 milligrams. So this one here is 4 times as much as this one here. So that's one reason, and so is this one here. This has 2 milligrams, right? But why do I do that? Because there is dependencies between zinc and copper. They kind of compete and consume each other or something of the sort. Again, I don't know what it is, but that's what doctors say, right? Now, why do these guys have lesser copper? I do not know. But since I take extra zinc, right, I like to take the higher copper, right? So when I take this, I probably won't take zinc. When I take these two, I will take a zinc pill as well. So you see, so I rotate between these three, and there's a fourth one, and there's like fifth one. The fourth one, I believe, does not even have copper at all for some reason. Now, like I say, copper exists. You know, you can find copper as a compound in like almonds and carrots and so on and so forth, right? But then again, this method here basically uh, 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 allows the intestinal tract to grab those compounds and absorb them. Why? Because they're soaked with water, and the water is absorbed in the small intestines, so they're forced into the body, and now the body has to metabolize them and use them, right? While if they're mixed with the food, they may not even be in touch. The intestinal lining may not even touch them, right? And again, I'm saying this based on experience. The theory was very simple, but the experience was definitely miraculous. All right, so now next thing I'm going to take today is really this here. It's the term for the one with the boron, right? And that's a tablet, right? Right. So now there is another potassium, right? And I double the potassium. So that one 99. This one is also 99, and there's some potassium in the 50 plus, right? While that one is a powder tablets, this one is a tablet, right? And then of course there is the selenium, right? And the selenium is 200 mcg. I take that anyway. Now they say that exists in you have selenium in Brazil nuts, right? So that's one pill, right? However, you know, if there's no selenium in the soil, it's not in the plant, it's not in the fruit, it's not in the animal, it's not anywhere. That's why it's very important to supplement and on an empty stomach and empty intestines in the morning, right? And of course, there is the magnesium, and the magnesium types are the best that are advised by doctors is glycinate, right? Now here the dosage says take one every 3 tablets a day, right? You know, but since I'm looking for an empty stomach, so what I'll do is, and don't do that unless you really know what you're doing, right? I take three, right? I take them three, right? At the same time. And I'm doing fine, right? I'm doing fine. So now that is pretty much what I have here, but I did list, in fact, I did list, uh, uh, let's see, magnesium, selenium, I got selenium and then, right? I did see that, excuse me. All right, so now I have those here, right? The tablets, and then the pills I have here, the tablets and the pills I have here, right? As you can see. Now the mortar I grind them with, you can get a grinder, but the grinder I noticed I had one, and then when I ground them into powdery substance, into powdery texture, right, or state, the grinder began to emit, or they started dusting up in the air, right? So you're gonna lose some. And here, that's much better. However, make sure it's made of wood. Why? Because if you get the marble or any other things, the minerals in those tablets may interact with the minerals in the rock or marble or whatever it is, right? So make sure it's wood, right? Wood is safe. And there's plenty of those wherever you go, in whatever store. So I grind them, right? Break them into powdery substance, right? Okay, let me do that now while you're waiting. Okay, so here we go. I just ground them and I, brush off those residue on the handle or the all right, you can see that now they are powder. Now why do I ground them is because if you take them as pills, they will stick around or they will be contained in the stomach, and the stomach will start producing acids. This here with a lot of water will bypass the stomach process of digestion or acid production. Basically you're circumventing the system. This is like stealing money from the government to increase the stock market, right? Those filthy rich illegitimate theft of money and so on, right? So now what I do is I have this small cup here, and I basically brush those and pour them in that small cup. I mean, this is my method. You can have your own method, but the idea is to take all that and make sure you take it in with lots of water and stay sitting up, don't lay down on your side. You can walk, you can sit, you can do whatever you want to. And for 2 hours, don't eat anything, right? Just drink a lot of water in the 2 hours and stay sitting up because they have to go down the tube in the intestinal tract, right? Because if you lay down, they will still, especially the minerals, right? They will be stuck in the stomach due to gravity, right? And then you get up and eat, and guess what? The whole process, the whole method is just, you just destroyed or stifled the whole thing, right? So make sure you stay up, sitting up, so the compounds will go into the intestinal tract, right? And okay, so that's that, right? So now that is here, as you can see, they're here, right? But I still have the caplets. Now, why do I take the caplets off? They're already powdered. Is because the caplet itself, the plastic part or whatever that is, gel or whatever, will also stimulate the stomach acid, right? The stomach, if it feels anything solid or if it's liquid or whatever it is, and it feels like it's very smart. The stomach is very smart. It knows how much acid and so on and so forth it needs to produce to complete the digestion and so on. Our digestive system is not so primitive as you think. It's intelligent, right? And it's in the brain as well. So I take those, right? All those caplets that I took, and that's the notion, is to trick the stomach not to produce so much acid. And with so much water, the stomach will pass the water to the small intestine, where they are there and they're getting, this is like bypassing a checkpoint, right, with your stuff. And instead of them being confiscated for contraband, you go around it, right? Something similar. So here so that's one here. See, as you can see, I throw these away, right? Make sure they're all emptied in there, right? Again, you can take it like piecemeal with a small spoon or something of the sort, up to you, but you have to take the whole thing. I usually take the whole thing with water. I'll show you how. Right, so I empty these are the magnesium glycinate, right? And again, supposedly like 3 times a day, I just take them in the morning. And I'm not telling you what to do. So that's the bioactive B complex, right? I don't know what bioactive means, like they have enzymes or something of the sort, like they say. So Mr. Arab directed me to a method, and it seems to be like changing like humanity, right? And here, these are the potassium, right? That's the potassium pill, and here is the K2 plus D3. Now D3, you get a lot of advice about like 50,000, 500,000, blah, 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 blah. Again, the best part is really to go expose yourself to the sun, right? The sunshine vitamin, and apparently that generates a lot of vitamin D. However, I take the 5,000 plus the vitamin D, whatever is in the 50 plus, and I'm fine with that, right? If you really need more, the doctor can tell you that you need more, or you can try more. From what I heard, if it's water soluble, it gets discharged. The body will use whatever it needs to use. I think it'll store some in the liver or the cell or somewhere else, right? And then it'll discard the rest through the kidneys. My kidneys have improved. My stomach, I used to have like acid reflux like 2 or 3 times a week. That's gone. So many things that were basically progressing into like that old age type degenerative diseases and so on. They're healed, right? So now I have those all in this small cup here. And what I do is pour some water, here, put some water in my mouth, and then dump all that together and swallow them. Make sure you don't choke on them, right? So you have to devise the method of how you take it in, but you have to take all of them together and drink a lot of water. So I'm going to do that now. It don't taste good, I can tell you that. And then I drink that much water, and then for 2 hours I drink a lot of that as well. And that is distilled water. Make sure it's distilled water. Why distilled water? Well, because if there are other minerals or chemical compounds in the water that you get from the tap or from filters or anywhere else, right? They may interact with the supplements actually, whether they're trace minerals or vitamins or whatever they are, and they could actually change into something that you don't like. So I usually use distilled water I buy from the store. Wow. So now I'm done with that. And the next time I am now on like weekly practice, right? Schedule of every 1 week or so. So now I've done that. I want to explain to you about omega, right? So, and again, I'm not telling you what to do and what not to do. There was a time when I started taking omega, and this one here has 883 and 560 mg, that's milligram, 880 milligram, 3 and omega 3, and 560 omega 6, and 440 omega 9. But then I got another bottle of the same kind that is like 6,000, blah, 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 blah. And I started taking those every day. But then I would say about 2, 3 weeks later, I began to have certain feeling or symptom. Excuse me. And that goes like this, right? So now I'm timing this like 11:30, 12:30, 1:30. So 2 hours. Stay up. I mean, don't lay down and drink a lot of water and no food, right? After 2 hours, eat your food and make sure it's like good food, right? It helps to get that grass-fed beef, 85%, and butter and yogurt and vegetables and so on and so forth. Mix up, like not together, but like take a variety of nutrients from different foods, right? So back to this now. I have actually started taking those every day, and the symptom was I would get up in the morning and go into, say, the restroom, the bathroom to take a shower and so on, and I would feel a small surge in my brain, a shock, some kind of a shock, right? I can't describe it as an electrical shock, but it's something, as if my brain is like, lighting up something, it was not normal at all. And again, Mr. Arab told me, stop that. I'm not telling you to stop it. And I stopped it, and sure enough, within a week, that was gone. So I knew I was way overdosing on the omegas, right? Again, I'm not telling you to take that because now I take it like maybe once a week, maybe. I don't know. I mean, at your discretion. Don't overdose on that omegas, those omegas that you buy. And again, I'm not showing you the brand, but obviously you can guess what brand it is. But they're different brands, and I think they're all the same. They will, if you overdose on those, you will cause yourself some, you know. And then again, I healed from that. So that I still do take. Check with your doctor how much you need to take. But there are alternatives, like the good sardines, wild caught sardines, wild caught tuna, herring, and so on, all wild caught and kelp maybe, and flaxseed, and so on. So natural compounds from omega 3 and eggs, I think, and olive oil, right? Extra virgin olive oil, the expensive type. Be careful of olive oils that you buy in the market. If it is too cheap, that's not that's tainted, that's diluted, right? So this here I take now maybe once a week, maybe twice a week or something of the sort. So I'm not completely off it, but that's what I'm saying here. So like I said, be careful. Start on this. I mean, I will start on this I did not feel anything when I started on it, and I almost quit. But Mr. Arab here kept pushing me, you know, like you have to do this, and like I said, after a week, I began to feel. It's in my other videos. I explained all that, which I published on YouTube in 2022, pioneering something that's right. It turns out that all discoveries and all things that we discover is really a form of revelation, right? It is not calculated in the brain. After it is revealed, right? And it's not like the revelation that, say, Prophet Muhammad or before him, Jesus or Moses received. No, no, no. This is not by no means. Call it inspiration if you want to. It's a form of right? But then afterwards, the brain, the physical brain begins to calculate, right? You know, the dosage and 1 + 1 = 2, and so on and so forth. Then the brain gets this like new discovery and begins to develop it into something really big and detailed and so on and so forth and advanced and whatnot, right? So be careful of that. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you is I discovered that sometimes there may be malabsorption in this method as well, meaning even I did what I did now, and that it was a quality move, right? A forklift move, right? Totally different in my health. I come to discover sometimes that there's still, I'm not taking all that I need, especially about the B12, right? And whatever is relevant to it, right? The B complex. So now, like I said, I just took this here, 10,000, right? Because 2 drops, and those drops may be, right? Maybe bigger than just a drop. I think what I've just done here, and the bioactive, right? The bioactive, again, like I took the whole bioactive pill, so I way overdosed on the B complex and the B12 and so on. And then here as well, let me see how much. So the B12 here is 100 mcg, right? So as you can see, I way overdosed on the Bs, right? And I'm doing fine, but I'm not telling you to do that yourself. So I discovered when I bought this, I used to have like pills, right, on the B12 of the same type, but they were pills or tablets, and then they were like 500, I think, and then maybe later 1,000, and then I felt much better when I got this like drops under the tongue drops, and I take a lot of it, right? You know, like be careful what you do. Buy quality stuff and so on. Now that's all I'm gonna tell you. I do have that actually. Let me see. Excuse me. I do have that actually printed on a double-sided page, right? So I can give it to you in person, or we can manage a way to actually send it to you if you wish, right? Or if you're not far from here, you know, we can give it a print. You know, like go to a printer and then I'll print one for you because I have that file. So that's that. Leave me a note if you want it, and we can arrange for somehow that you can get it, right. It's 2 pages, and it has the instructions and so on and so forth. The discoverer here, yours truly, is a Muslim man, right? And I have no qualms or anything about who gets it. You know, regardless of race or religion or ethnic background or whatnot, right? You know, I'm distributing that. So long you don't make money off it, right? So long it's not profit for profit. So long it's not used for with ulterior motives and so on, to use it to say influence someone's belief and someone's you know religion or whatever it is. I have rights to this particular discovery. If you want to make money, you will have to contact me, right? and so on and so forth. And I ask for your prayers, like pray for me and share it, like spread it and share it. You may think this is very simple. Oh, you will believe. You will believe. This is like people sitting under the dam, right? And the dam is no longer open to allow water through, right? And they have no way, of opening the dam. And that's what I've just done: is discovered a way to open the dam, and the dam flooded the plains, and now the land is green again, right? That's all I've done. That's that. I mean, I didn't discover that. I didn't. I'm not a doctor, right? Or formally educated, but Mr. Arab here tells me things, right? So that's where it is. Now, I do have, speaking of the microbiome, right? And I mentioned before that if you view my other videos about the bacteria in the gut and the fungus as well, and so on. And I told you there's not much you can do about that. So if there's some bad bacteria in your gut, that you really can't do anything about that. Why? Because if you either, from the technology that we have now, antibiotics, you can either kill all or leave all. You can't just target certain bacteria, right? There is some. I did actually invest so much money. I mean, I invested like so much money in a lab, and eventually I figured things out, right? And I can see the results in the lab. So the lab is my fridge, as a matter of fact. And my fridge, excuse me. So my fridge is a lab. But before that, I just remembered one thing. There is iron supplement. Iron supplement, I always heard recommendation against it, right? Because there's plenty of iron in nature and food and so on and so forth. I do not know, right? I took it for a while, but then I abandoned it, right? Because, and again, check with your doctor on that, whether to take iron or not to take iron. That depends on if you're anemic or not. So here the method is offered to you with primitive practice, right? And that is revolutionary. However, in certain cases, you may need to know exactly what you're taking, right? And your doctor can tell you best what to do. The other thing, why do I get like those different 50 plus supplements, and every time I take one, and I mentioned is because of the copper and so on, right? That's what I'm saying. But there's another reason, and that is, the manufacturing process may be different. Maybe one is better than the other, right? I don't know. So this way you'd cover your ground. Now back to my lab. My lab, like I said, is extremely sophisticated and costly. So, and that is the fridge. The fridge is a microbiome. What do I mean by that? Here's what I mean by that. I mentioned something about, probiotics and stuff before, and then I retracted a little bit. Go for natural probiotic, and that is yogurt, right? Live yogurt, good whole milk yogurt, right? And what is yogurt really? It's live culture. It's bacteria, right? Yogurt is bacteria. If you ever ate yogurt, that's bacteria, type of bacteria. You're eating bacteria, basically. We're eating bacteria. But now, when you put your yogurt, when you buy the yogurt and open the tub, right? And then you see it's solid, right? It's solid, semi-solid or, solid or semi-solid, right? You can grab some, scoop some up with a spoon or something of the sort. It's semi-solid, right? Like butter and so on. So now, but if you leave it there for a while, after you take some and then you come back to eat from it the next day or the third day, you'd see that there is fluid or water, right? Begins like to pile up or accumulate in the tub itself. Some people throw this water out, but then that's my big test about the microbiome. The microbiome is really in bacteria. So what does the bacteria do when it dies, right? It produces that compound that looks like water. And that compound or watery substance is what absorbs by the lining of the gut, right? And that contains a lot of things that we really need. Right, right, right. Uh, uh, I mean, I think from what I know is that it's extremely essential for us to take what the bacteria produces, and what the bacteria produces. And I realized that, I began to look at that very, very highly expensive. It's like $6 or something. Yogurt tub, and it's the specialized one. I buy it from certain big store, and not like those national stores. There's store here that has some stores in Wisconsin and some in. It's a very large food store, right? It doesn't have. It has a gas station, but it doesn't have. I don't want to name it. One in Aurora, and there's one in Lincolnshire, right? And other places as well. I remember going to this particular big, big food store in Madison, Wisconsin, when I was working for the university. And there is this particular yogurt, real good yogurt, right? And they gloat on the label that it doesn't have so and so like other yogurts and so on and so forth. Forget this word Greek, not Greek, whatever yogurt. No, no, yogurt is yogurt, and it's originally from the Middle East, right? The Middle East, and it's ancient, discovered by shepherds and Bedouins and so on and so forth, right? And cheese as well. So it has to be that, right? Now, when I looked, and there's that watery substance, and that watery substance is when the bacteria itself dies, right? When the bacteria itself dies, it releases that substance, right? And that substance contains what we really need. So we really, when we're not just eating cattle, we're also slaughtering and eating bacteria. Or when the bacteria dies, it releases that substance and it's liquid. Some people pour it out. I don't, I drink it as well, right? And when I boil, say, beans and so on, and legumes, and it produce that white foam, people throw it out. Don't throw it out. That white foam has a lot of nutrients in it, right? So I take it out, right? So as not to over flood the rim of the pan or something like that. And then I mix it back again and eat it. So the yogurt itself, that's then, guess what? That's what happens in the gut, right? All this bacteria dies, right? And then it produces that compound when the bacteria dies and it disintegrates, right? I don't know if there's some video of it. When it disintegrates, it releases its substance, right? It just kind of, like disintegrates, similar to amoebas or similar to paramecium or whatever it is. When they die, they just don't die. They just disintegrate, right? And then there's fluid that leaks out of them, right? That's what happens. The bacteria dies and then the gut, and that's why it goes up and then it transfers and down. That's why the down, where there's always like that cancerous region, that's after after the effect, and then that going down is where the bad stuff is really after it was consumed by the other, up colon, transverse colon, and I don't know what you call them, whatever, right? So that's what happens. The bacteria dies and we absorb them. But then the brain is very smart. So when there is like real poison in the bacteria and food and so on, the gut lining, I think, again, I'm not a doctor or biologist or something like that. What it does is it stops absorbing, right? It slows down the absorption, hence, you know, uh, diarrhea, right? Right. So now that's it. That's how it works. So microbiome, bacteria must be there and then it must die and then produce that liquid. And whatever the bacteria has manufactured or used and we use. So we live on bacteria, right? Maybe we were bacteria at one point. And there's something like that in the Quran that we were our first creation is in the uh, murky organic still water, right? Hama'in masnoon, like if you leave water for 1,000 years or something like that, and then dark place and so on, it turns into. And I did that experiment myself. I put some water in very dark place and came back like a few weeks later, and there it was no longer water. It was like thick, black thing in there and so on, and I had really to clean it, right? So So that's maybe that's why. Now there is a theory, and this again is theory. Could be right, could be wrong, and that's how it goes. Some bacteria, you know, bacteria need nutrients just like we do, right? In order to live and transform things and so on, right? It doesn't just exist on water, it needs nutrients just like we do. And I noticed bacteria, different bacteria live on different substance. So for example, this particular A bacteria lives on greens or folate or whatever, right? Like beta carotene or fat or fiber or right? So for example, if there is a bad bacteria and you know that that bad bacteria lives on certain substance, right? Certain nutrients, you can deny those nutrients and then that dies off. 100%, no, bacteria never die. And they're intelligent, by the way. I explained this in my other videos about what happened behind my ear. They're definitely intelligent, yeah. They communicate among each other. There is communications, right? Primitive communications, but yeah, it is there. The other thing, so as you can see, I noticed that different bacteria lives on different substances, right? Different nutrients. So that's a keyword here. The other keyword is I told you that there's like good fungus and bad fungus, and that I told you before in those videos in 2022, I believe, that our brains use fungus. It does use fungus. The good fungus, bad fungus, no, bad fungus is not. And how? I don't know how, but that notion is still there. Didn't leave, right? It's confirmed that we use fungus, right? And I'll tell you this. Sometimes I eat fungus. Like for example, I bought some strawberries, right? And I put them in the fridge, and lo and behold, I got them out, and they built fungus around them, like white fungus and so on. So I washed them, but not everything went away, and I ate them. And they didn't kill me, right? So we use fungus, and that's why when I told you about back home about certain thing called Zorkia or Shanklish, that Mother Amina was feeding us fungus. Now, some of my relatives say, no, we usually scrape off the fungus, but the fungus is way deep into that milky substance, which is, I believe, feta cheese stored in dark place until it builds fungus, right? That's how they usually make it. And I remember that, it's like fungicide, right? And we eat it, right? So that notion is still there. The other thing I have a notion of is that, to me, is like, how do roots acquire all these nutrients, all these minerals, all these things, and so on, and then water and bacteria in the soil, right? Just like we do in our microbiome. But then something else hit me, is that the fungus in the soil usually breaks down even rocks, even minerals, right? Some real fungus that we don't eat, that is we consider bad, that really, I mean, from what I know, is that fungus really eats rocks, right? Or breaks it apart. So fungus is as important as mold, and fungus and so on is as important as bacteria, right? In our lives, right? So don't mind eating fungus. And cheese, like some, cheese has fungus on it. I'm going to give you an advice: avoid pork and pig product altogether. Just avoid it. Now, that said, I know this is like roughly spoken, roughly laid out and detailed, but believe me, if you practice that practice I just told you about, oh, you will believe. Oh, you will believe. Now, hold on just a second. Okay, so in my practice as well, I explained about coffee. This coffee here, I also invented, right? Discovered. Basically, what I do is I want strong coffee. So I bring very strong coffee, like French roast, high quality, right? And ground into Turkish coffee, right? Ground into Turkish coffee. And this here, because I love coffee, but I came across a discovery as well. and you put like fifth, uh, like that Turkish ground, meaningly very fine ground, right? 1/5 coffee and 4/5 water, and I boil them. I don't just keep them warm for 2 hours. They're like boiling, wicked boil. If you could do it in a pressure cooker, much better, right? And then I keep them in bottles. This here could stay for years, right? It would not be stale. Turns out that this is the best antibiotic you can have. I think it even gets virus. I have recorded videos on those as well. Here, I drink like every day or every other day about that much. And you can drink it with water and with food and so on and so forth, right? But drink it in the morning. You know, like after 2 hours, I'll take a couple of shots, right? Small shots, right? And it develops mold. See the mold on top, right? And I do that as well. Actually, I keep the sediment when I after I brew it. I filter out the big grainy beans, right? You know, or the cracked beans, and then I keep the sediment, right? I keep the sediment. So before I drink it, I shave it off. No, I shake it, right? And then I drink about that much, right? Remember, boil for 2 hours, right? And then store in bottles. Once you open it, after you store it in bottles, it will be okay. Once you open it, is when it begins to develop that mold. Meaningly, mold is in the air. And then again, I discovered molds live off certain substance. They don't just exist, right? They're everywhere. When they find the environment that suits them, similar to bacteria, they thrive into that environment. So the mold or fungus that grows on coffee is different than that goes on strawberries, right? So that is antibiotic, really, basically. It kills even the worst bugs like malaria or something of the sort. You don't believe me? Try it. This you don't have to do much about, and it's coffee, right? And so, like they say, exclusive rights here, unless it's non-profit, and I encourage you to spread it, right? It's a very simple practice, and if you don't believe, oh, you will believe. You will believe. I heard of a certain case where it actually won in abroad, right? Based on the supplements and so on, psoriasis was healed, as a matter of fact, and so on and so forth. If you don't have any of the symptoms that I talked about, then the supplement practice and so on helps strengthen you, right? I also heard reports, although unconfirmed, but they're very reliable, that some cancers are getting healed because now the body is able to handle, certain cancer. I mean, the immunity of the body and so on. And sometimes I think of it this way, that cancer cells are missing certain compounds or certain processes, chemical processes and so on. And that's when, like, if you lose, I'll give you an example. If you lose, remember this thing, defund the police, right? Don't defund the police. Because if you defund the police, people are going to take the law. There will be anarchy and no law, right? And you're going to have cancerous behavior among people. They start killing each other and shooting each other. Why? Because they know that they're no longer being accounted, right? That's my approach to it, is when the brain is weakened and the immune system is weakened and due to loss of nutrients and so on, there is no longer control, and those cells with their primitive intelligence, and they have intelligence in them, local intelligence, primitive, very primitive, right? And sometimes in groups, right? They just begin to behave on their own without supervision from the brain, right, or the nervous system. You see what I'm saying, right? You see what I'm saying? So prevention as well as cure. This here, I would do anytime. Spread it, share it. Do not make money off it. If you do, you have to pay share, right? You may you may be thinking this is very ridiculous. Oh no, you will believe. You will believe what I just told you here is just basically a revolution, right? Well, folks, have a nice day, whoever you are. And again, if you want that sheet is very important. I can either give you a copy or we can manage. I will not email it electronically, so nobody can edit it and cause harm or something of the sort. But this video is there, and I will watch it between now and then to make sure that it's not altered. Meantime, have a nice day. This is your good neighbor. This is your friend, Osa, from the city of Homs, Syria. That very, very, very ancient city. I can tell you this from my personal knowledge. That city is at least 15 to 20,000 years old. That area, the city keeps moving, right? But that city, that area there, that place there, that location in the city of Homs, Homs, not Homes. That's pretty old. That's very old, folks. Underground, there are dead civilizations and changes, and people spread from it, especially to the west, right? All the time. Have a nice day, and today is Sunday, so I'll put this online as soon as I can, and you take care now. Bye.